Hi, I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. And it has been a bit of a chaotic week this week. It has been a very, very busy week this week. So, you may remember if you watched me last week, you'll remember in my weekly whinge, one of the many things that I complained and moaned about was how much I dislike my living room now, how depressing I find it, especially now that I'm spending more time in it because of my chronic pain. I'd managed to get the paint that I needed to paint my walls, but I no longer have the strength or energy or shoulder power to paint my walls. I decided a little bit of something was better than a lot of nothing, and so I would just do a tiny little strip of paint, and if I kept on doing that, eventually the room would be finished, right? And obviously, when my husband saw that, he said, "Oh, stop it," and painted the walls for me. Fantastic. So we spent all of last weekend painting the walls of the living room. But that was a bit of a task in itself because our living room is also our dining room and my office. And so um, all of my books live in this room. And when I say all of my books, I have got quite a few. And so, in order to paint the walls, years ago, I got my husband to build shelves into the alcove that is just there because a chimney used to be functional in the room and it isn't anymore. And it's just this weird little alcovey space. And so, I got my husband to build shelves into it to put all of my books in. And I just shoved them all up there willy-nilly at the time based on size, actually, or just the aesthetic of the cover. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. Occasionally I had authors grouped together, but mostly it was just a big mess of books, and I couldn't find most of them because at least two of those shelves I have to stand on something to get to, and one of them I need a natural ladder to get to the backmost row of books. I need a natural ladder. And so whilst I had them all down, I decided that it would be a good idea to sort through them all, group them by genre, and that became a mammoth task. It really, really did, because I decided that the easiest way to do this, it wasn't the easiest way at all, but the easiest way to do this was to get myself a little library app so I could scan each of my books and group them by category that way, and that way I'd know what books I've got, what I've got a copy of. I can make a note to say if I've lent it out to somebody, and in that respect it's really, really good. It took so long though. A lot of my books are too old to have barcodes on, so they needed to be entered manually, and then I'd realise I'd typoed and have to go back and do them again. It was a massive data entry task basically, where I scanned all of my books in and then I categorised them, and then I had them all out on the floor. I grouped them by genre on the floor in piles, and then decided which shelf they were going to be on so that I could make a note in my library app of which shelf they were on to make it easier for me to find the books that I want when I want them without having to climb up on chairs and things unnecessarily while I'm searching for books. It felt like a good idea at the time. And actually, I am very glad with how it's turned out. I've got all of my books back on the shelves now. Thank goodness. Let's never do that again. We're sticking with this colour walls forever now. Um, but I've got all the books back up. I've got my knickknacks back up on there as well. I do have a few more finishing touches to do on this room though, including the mammoth task that I took on of deciding next thing to do was strip all the paint off of the doors. See, this house went up in the 40s, and ever since then, it seems that every single tenant has decided, I'm just going to paint over those doors and make them my colour. There's 3 doors in this room that have been glossed over maybe 17 times, maybe more. There's wallpaper under that paint in places. There's plaster under that paint in places. And that gloopy stuff that you see all over TikTok and YouTube that you just put on and all of the paint just falls off, that only works for about 2 or 3 layers of paint. And I have used a litre of that stuff on one of these doors so far, and it still looks like this. Horrendous stuff there. Absolutely not the one at all. My husband cannot see the vision for this, and so he's like, we'll just paint over it. It's fine. We'll do what everyone else has done and just paint over it. But the doors are covered in really thick layers of dried on gloss paint from ages ago, and it's all chipped and peeling, and there's just no way to do that and make it look good without causing a big problem for the next person again. And so I think I'm going to have to convince him to borrow a industrial sander from his workplace, because I had a little go over it with my little mouse Black & Decker mouse sander that I did my desk with, and it's done just enough to make me realise that there is some beautiful wood grain under all of that paint, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do all of the doors using that. And so I don't know, I think another coat of the gloop might get lots of that off. And so it's about deciding whether I want to spend another 50 plus quid on gloop for the other doors or not. I'm not really sure. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I've still got some other finishing touches to do in the room, but I don't want to show you the whole room until it's all done, including my doors. And so for that reason, I have actually pre-scheduled a few of my Witchy Wednesdays for the next couple of weeks. I did at the time think, oh, I've scheduled far too many and I'm going to end up deleting a lot of those once I've got the room back in order, because I don't want that horribleness in the background. But actually, now that it's taken me this long to get that far on one door, I think that it might take me quite some time, and I hope that I have scheduled enough. Maybe I can get the one door finished so that I can do some Witchy Wednesdays without a horrid background. We'll see. Maybe the other two will be much easier. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll try. We'll do, I think maybe some more gloop, and we'll try doing it with the gloop. Anyway, my husband has been doing all of the hard work while I've been doing all the fun work. See, once I had finished categorizing all of my books, I turned my attention to new artwork for the room. And so I started by taking these 3 canvases that were given to my daughter years and years ago, but she really didn't like them. She didn't like the colour of them, but also she wasn't too keen on butterflies. As she said at the time when she was small, they're just insects with good PR. She doesn't like things flapping. She doesn't like insects in her room, and the butterflies kind of creeped her out. But the colours of them didn't really go anywhere else in the house. And so years later, fast forward about 10 years later, I decided to paint them up to match my new colour scheme. So I'm going for a sort of green and nature sort of theme in here I'm hoping to achieve. And so I decided that I could repaint these to match that. And so I have gone for a darker green than I've got in any of the rest of the room, but I'm hoping to mirror that on a different art piece as well. And I also put in some the colour that is on my feature wall, the sort of very pale green that sort of almost looks a bit blue in some lights actually, that is on my feature wall. And then I put a little bit of gold into it as well to match both the background of the pictures, but also like my gold mirror frame that I've got hanging up. And then I started work on this big artwork that's going to go above my sofa. This is the one that I was looking for a canvas for, and I actually managed to find this one for it was $15.95 I think on sale at Hobbycraft, and then I had to pay $7.95 for large delivery as well. So I was most unimpressed when I'd paid £7.95 for delivery and they left it behind my wheelie bin, even though I was at home, thank you DPD, but luckily I got it in before it was raining, and I have started priming this canvas, but I haven't actually started painting it yet because I am wildly intimidated. So it's hanging on my wall at the moment, just wonky while it dries. It's wonky because it's just hanging on a nail that was already in the wall there, and I haven't actually put the nail up that is going to straighten the canvas. It is very difficult to balance it on that one nail because there is a wooden support down the middle of the canvas because of the size of the canvas, and so that is where the nail would need to be if it was going to balance on just the one. But I'm going to put another nail up, or possibly just use some command hooks, I'm not sure, and straighten that. It's not sort of staying in there, and the tape is falling off it, but that's okay because I don't need to mask that area of it anymore. So I was about to pull it off anyway, but don't use electrical tape as masking tape on your artworks. It just does not work. Now, my plan is to put some Monstera leaves on there in various different shades of green, both the one that is on the wall and the ones that are in the butterflies, and then maybe do a tiny bit of gold detailing on it as well, just to pull the whole thing together. But I haven't got to that part yet. I'm going to make some templates, I think, because I'm very worried that I'm going to just ruin the whole picture when I try and paint on it. because I've never worked on a canvas that size before. It is very intimidating for me. But finally, I was given, and I think I showed you guys this beautiful little rose plant at Christmas. It was absolutely gorgeous. Was it Christmas or my birthday? One of the two. It was beautiful. Anyway, it was my birthday, I think. But it was beautiful, little tiny miniature rose thing. And it came into my house and just immediately died. Like, the only thing I seem able to keep alive is jade plants, and I don't know what I do wrong. I hadn't touched it yet. It had been in my house a few hours when it started to brown up, and I thought, well, I don't think you need watering, but you're browning up, maybe I'll give you a bit of water, and then just boom, everything died. I think I overwatered that one. I don't know. But I really, really liked the little jug that it was in, and I'm tired of, like, it looks gorgeous with fresh flowers in, especially with roses in, but I am tired of having to buy and replace them, like, because fresh flowers are expensive, yeah, and I don't like having just half dead flowers in my eye line all the time. And so last night I realised that, see, when I was clearing out my books the other day and categorising them all, I found a couple of books that I had kept because they were real old favourite books of mine, but could no longer read because they were missing pages. And so I decided to give those a new lease of life by turning them into these little paper roses, which I'm very pleased with how they've come out. I'm not too pleased with how the stems have come out. They're quite. I might redo those. When I've done some book pages ones, I decided to make some out of tissue and cardboard as well, just to, they're all going to fall out now. I haven't finished yet. I've got a few more that I still want to add in. I haven't got stems on yet. And so I think when they're all done, I'm going to fix them onto a piece of foam or something so they stop falling over whenever I move the jug. But then I can have roses in my home that not only will never die on me, but are also made of pages of some of my favourite books. And so I'm really, really pleased that I thought of that idea. And I'm really, really pleased with how they came out, because these were ridiculously easy to make. I sat there watching telly making them last night, and if you would like a tutorial for those, just let me know in the comments and I will do that for you next week. But I'm really, really pleased with how they came out as well. So all in all, it has been a very artistic week, but nothing is quite finished enough for me to show you yet. I'm very, very pleased with how it's all coming together though. I do need to pace myself because I'm absolutely exhausting myself. But hopefully next week I'll be able to show you the Monstera canvas, if I manage to get it done on time, and maybe also the mysterious head with the leaves in it that I showed you a little glimpse of a couple of weeks ago. I might get a chance to actually work on that once I've finished doing the other little artsy things for my living room. Join me again on Monday for my next vlog. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be vlogging about yet. It might be some artsy stuff, it might be some writing stuff, it might even be a day out depending on the weather and how my hip behaves. But either way, I will be here at Monday 6 AM UK time talking about something. If you can't wait until then to see me again, I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath with you, letting you know what I'm grateful for, and sometimes letting you know what is challenging me that week. And I will also be here on a pre-scheduled Witchy Wednesday for a couple of weeks, which is very, very strange. I'll do an intuitive tarot card read for you, which I'm sure will find you at the time that the universe wants you to see it. If you would rather have a personal reading from me, you can get them on my Ko-fi. I do both short and long form readings to suit a range of budgets, and I can go as in-depth or not as you would like me to. Until then though, you have yourself a magical week.